Welcome back, everybody, to the Skull Meatloaf Podcast. The beautiful face next to me is Adriana. We're going to meet her in a second. We all know that we have to do our cheesy entrance about the Skull Meatloaf Podcast, where we talk about healing on your own terms at any pace, any way you know how, with a lot of honesty and humor. And we at Skull Meatloaf, you can check us out. If you can't see me visually and you'd like to see me and Adriana, you can head to YouTube and Spotify now. Those will be fully visual and audio for you. We are still available on other platforms though. So if you'd like to check out Apple or Amazon Music, we'll be there too. Important things to remember because both of us are in the healing industry. We've been, at least are or were in the medical field, and we
Mhm.
are spiritual healers. I just set the boundary. All streams and anything we say are educational and informative only. They don't replace any sort of treatment, or even if you're going to a spiritualist. We are only two people that are
Mhm.
providing a little perspective on the world around you today. But I will always say, it says consult your medical providers or your care team, but even your faith team, whatever you believe in that's bigger than yourself. Make sure this is just to inspire a conversation to consider, not a final answer. And that's something I know in our work, even Adrian, in our
Mhm.
ethical work, we really deeply try to tell people is get second and third opinions and explore. This is just one side of it.
Absolutely.
So season 7, our wonderful Adriana, and I will say, I love everybody that's been on, but Adriana and I have a very, very special universe bond and plopped into each other's laps, and I have absolutely no question we'll be in our each other's lives,
Oh,
literally not just
absolutely.
this one, but in the next one. And one of my favorite people because I feel like Adriana really represents, even despite adversities that she's gone through, and which she's one thing I love about Adriana, very open about like sharing and vulnerability, but also just truly somebody who self evolves next to her clients. Like this is, and like Mo last week, I said there are just, the people we invited into this epoxy season, they're not just talking to talk. These are people that walk the walk. So when you're listening to these or watching the shorts, or even if you're just joining us today for the first time, um, know that it's not people just blowing smoke. And this epoxy season is all about the small joys, the in-betweens, the things that make us feel alive or human, and just sharing stories. And now it's a perfect time to let Adriana introduce herself. Wait, I'll put your little guest thing up. There you go.
Wow,
Now it looks official.
I love it. So professional.
It's got the color coordination and everything. Welcome, Adriana. Tell us about you.
Hi. Hi, I'm Adriana. I am a spiritual medium and I read tarot cards. The owner of My Soul's Journey 11. Yeah, I'm a stay at home mom now. I used to be a lab tech in a local hospital here. I'm
And what
stay at
she's
home.
being humble about and not telling you is she like would work around the clock while being a parent and still be a superstar when doing readings. Like
Oh, thank you.
a magician. Is that a thing now? Not just a healer, but you're magical.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Yeah,
true.
I juggled a lot. I still do.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
and I have two little boys and a husband. Yeah, and I just, you know, work hard to get through every day.
It's very true though, but I like I said, everybody that's invited, Adriana is no exception today. When I tell people the word honored, like to work alongside people, it's not just in our self evolution, but as like in the healing industry. There are some people who are just very ethical. They consider their clients that come in, even if it's like a good time for them. They don't just do a reading to do a reading. There are those of us that are in these episodes. I feel like this where we don't do it for fame or numbers. We do it truly to like help the world heal a little bit
Yeah.
every day, you know?
Hmm.
So as we talk about like healing and our conversation with a joy, just as like a concept. We heard already this season people say joy is a choice, and last week it was joy is something that's spontaneous and childlike, and people talking about joy connecting to people. When you think about joy, Adriana, how do you define it yourself?
So this might seem a little out there, but to me, when I'm feeling joy, it's when my mind is quiet.
Mm,
I am someone who deals with anxiety and ADHD and postpartum depression. So my mind is always, there's something always happening in there. I'm always worried about something. And if I'm feeling true joy, that means in that moment, there's nothing in my mind that is pulling me away from that moment.
Mm.
Any anxiety, any worries that I have get pushed to the side, and I am able to be fully immersed in whatever is I'm experiencing that joy in.
Man, we were just talking about, just to give a little away, we were talking about Pixar and the high emotion of Pixar. I was saying, like, just, when people talk about an immersive experience, I feel like that's something joy does. It's so easy for us to get caught up in sadness or fear as immersive. But when you
Mm-hmm.
say like the peacefulness, it's almost like I felt it and saw it, that it was just something that washes over you. And it's like, someone said in the beginning, safety.
Yeah,
I two people in the beginning, in the first two episodes, Annie and Annette, they had brought up like safety. Like
yeah,
it's hard, joy is a choice, but safety. It's just it's really changed the game for me with certain words,
yeah.
and that would be it for me too. So what separates it, speaking of, from all the other emotions, because we're complex beings, what separates joy from other emotions for you?
Like I said, I think it's that quietness because as complex humans, we are masters at multitasking. We are people who are able to experience more than one emotion at a time. I can be happy, but I can still be worried about, okay, I have an appointment next week. I have to
That's so
remember.
true.
I can be, yeah, I can be upset, but I can still be like, okay, it's so and so's birthday. When I get it together, I have to text them or call them to wish them a happy birthday. Even though I'm feeling all these, whether they're positive or negative emotions, my mind is still running in a million different directions.
Right.
But with joy, it's quiet. I don't have
I
anything else that I'm
love
worried
that.
about. I don't have anything else that I need to do. I'm just there.
That's well said.
Thank you.
I was sitting here and I'm like, that is true. I have learned so much from this. It's so weird because I feel like even as a therapist, people come to me and they're just like, oh, emotions, self agency. But this is the best thing about narratives and connecting to people in this
Yeah,
season is I'm just like, it doesn't matter. People think even because therapists or healing industry, like we all learn from each other, like in
exactly.
every interaction. And that is so true. It is a quiet space when you feel joy. We heard warmth and sun and lightness, but it really is, it's peace,
It is.
you know? And then to go back to say joy is a choice, to be like peace can be a choice too. Like
Yeah.
they're connected. Beautifully said.
And
Oh,
this is what I find that's so beautiful is that joy can mean a million different things to a million different people.
it's the best
It's
part,
beautiful.
you know? That's why it's wild to me when people come to us, like as in the healing industry, and kind of says like, am I doing this wrong? I said, I don't know who's in control of that moral compass, but
But
there's none of us gatekeeping.
no,
Like, if you're not hurting other people or yourself, none of this is wrong.
exactly. Exactly.
What's wrong are safety issues,
Yes.
right? Otherwise, it's healing by choice and pace,
Hmm.
and we see so much gatekeeping. I know you and I do, and even our spiritual side of work.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, be free. I've kind of been amping
Absolutely.
on the word freedom. I feel like joy for me is kind of like freedom from things. It's
Yeah.
really taken this new step. And I know you and I very much, we were just talking about digging into our intergenerational healing and all those things, which is really hard work, everybody. Just want to point that out. Rewarding, but hard.
Yes.
Um, what did your childhood, that could be like mentors, people, something you did, what did they tell you about joy or small joys? Because you're a big small joy person. You're
I
good at being
am.
like grateful for
Thank
things.
you. A lot. It wasn't so much what I was told; it was what I saw and what was shown to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was watching my dad just thoroughly enjoy music, whether it be like Johnny
Oh,
Cash or Roy Orbison or The Temptations. Just like he will sit there and with his eyes closed and just listen to it. or
Dad.
or watching my mom knit or do something, and just like, again, they were always quiet in these moments. It wasn't always these like big raucous events. It was
Yeah.
these small little moments. Your electricity goes out during a storm, and my dad whips out the old battery powered boombox, and we listen
Oh
to
man.
Roy Orbison's Crying on
I
the
love Roy
radio.
Orbison.
I do too. um, so a lot of what I've
Oh,
seen with Joy, it's still, it's quiet,
it is. It's that peace.
it's
I really
peace.
think you just said it like that will stick with me. That will never leave again. Like, and it is. That's what, even with our busy parents and, we talked about you and I really respect our parents and what
Yeah,
they've been through and what they've done. When you have busy parents, I know for me, like, that peaceful state was when they'd wake up extra early to talk to each other.
yeah,
That was what I saw, was just being or connecting, you know.
exactly.
That's really special. So that's like a really good transition to specifically what story, narrative, or epoxy are you sharing with us today? Your small joy, the in between that made you feel alive.
It's funny because as a mom, I feel like I have, every person has a few, but I have some like
Right.
pre-kids and then like post-kids.
You can
But
that's the best thing. You share what vibes with you today. It could have changed from when you got on. You had like a plan, you know.
um, probably like the one that's sticking out since I just brought up, growing up. And I remember growing up, we would take road trips, whether it be to my aunt's house in Maine or to my grandmother's house down the Cape. And my dad would play whatever music obsession he had that week. And I remember going up to my grandmother's house. We used to play a game of whoever spotted the bridge first would get $1. And my dad just was obsessed with Elvis. And I remember being like, if I
Oh.
have to listen to Blue Suede Shoes one more time, I am going insane. But like, even in that moment, it was just like, it's just the 5 of us, or the 6 of us. Sorry, Maya. The 6 of us.
Sorry, Maya. Just kidding.
But it's just like,
If you're watching this, we
yeah,
love you.
we love you. That was just experiencing nothing but together.
Yep.
It was just another drive to Grammy's house, and it was simple.
Simple and peace. Man, those peas are coming out, like those things with the peas, they stand
They
out.
are.
It is like, it's all of these stories. I say, if we just did it quickly, right? We're just like, yeah,
Mhm.
driving to my grandparents' house. People are like, like, why was that your epoxy? But you said it was that feeling of like being connected to
Yeah.
something,
Yep.
peace and connection. It seems like our themes, like today,
Yeah.
like in our chat. Even when we connect, it's funny because I feel peace and connectivity. It's interesting, the ripple of like you as a friend and as a
Yeah.
colleague. Like you're rippling that epoxy even in your relationships now, because I
Yeah.
do feel those things with you. I'm authentically myself with you,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and that's those ripples we don't pay attention to either, like that we're making other people feel the way somebody else made us
Yeah.
feel, which is like so powerful. You still love music too.
Oh, I
You're the
do.
only person that can out music me. I will own it today. Everyone that's my friend that's known me for my whole life, they'll be like, there's nobody that can out music you. There are two people. This person right here, Adriana, and our friend Gina. Those are the two people that can out music me
Oh,
any day.
my mom used to call me the human jukebox. She used to like,
You
I'd be
are.
like, I'd be like, Adriana, what was that song? It's by that girl, and it goes, da na 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 na, and I'd be like, Christina Aguilera, Jane in a Bottle. And she's like, yeah, that's it. And I'm like, first of all, you need to get with the artist names, and you need to learn more than just the melody, please.
Get with it, Mom.
Get with it.
Get your okay, Mom, if you're also watching this, we love you too. Sorry. Please don't. When you meet me, Mom, because you will. I'm coming to Adriana. I will come to that coast. I swear. I'm coming. I'm coming for you.
I can't wait because I'm going to show you all the things.
All the things. You and Tony. That's why I want to see going through all those places together. Talk about, I'm trying to get Tony and Adriana famous. Okay. I don't want to be. My job is to go. I want to go in the shadows, not in a creepy way, but I just want to just highlight everybody else. And I'm telling you, Adriana from My Soul's Journey and Tony the Medium. You talk about powerhouses, mostly because they have sibling vibes when they're together, and they are hilarious. When Tony says, he calls her sister when he talks to me. He goes, my sister Adriana. Like he says that now, and they just vibe. One of these days,
love him so much.
Quote me, Adriana and Tony will be famous. I was gonna say we got to just move there. Hey, my parents are looking at the Carolinas, so I might not be far away.
Please do it.
Just do it. And it's funny. I've always had a call to Boston. I got accepted to Boston College, but couldn't afford it. I've always wanted to move to Boston.
It's beautiful, depending on where you move. It's beautiful.
I wouldn't be able to afford the beautiful places, but maybe I'll be on the outskirts.
There's some nice outskirts. You'll be fine.
Okay, wait, because now this isn't on my list. You can feel free. Okay. This is a hard question, but I'm now with music. Mm-hmm. What's a song that brings you joy? Okay, wait, what's one all time? If I was to put it on right now, you would feel happy.
Oh, God.
Joy.
So I have two answers, and they bring out different types of joy. So my first one is Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World.
Oh, makes me ugly cry.
Absolutely love it. I have a connection with that with my dad. And then
I have that one with my mom. Oh my God. Kindred. Okay, keep going.
And then the other one is a Temptation song called Cloud 9.
I don't know that one. See? Living jukebox. Okay.
It's so good. But I like my dad, I go through phases. So I love musicals. One of my favorite songs is Carnaval del Barrio. I said that awful. Which is from The Heights. Carnaval.
I love when you and Tony sing. It's my favorite.
I love it. Oh, thanks. I love singing. As my 7-year-old says, please stop. Please stop.
Listen, 7-year-old. And for safety, I won't say your name because I don't believe in sharing people's children's names without their permission. But I will say,
cool it.
We love him too.
Oh, we do. And then I have, 2000s hip hop and rap that just make me feel excited and young. But the top two is Cloud 9 by The Temptations and Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World.
So do you have one now?
Right now.
What's on repeat?
Okay, so it's two, and this is my favorite. I'm pulling up my phone so I can look at it. And it's my son's favorite.
Oh.
And the first one is Meghan Trainor. It's her new song, Meghan Trainor and T-Pain, called Bend Like This.
I love her.
And then the second one is a hose.
T-Pain.
I love T-Pain.
T-Pain and Meghan Trainor, if it ever gets to you.
Oh my God.
Let Adriana and I interview you someday, please.
We love you.
We love you.
I've also been introducing him to some older T-Pain. So it's T-Pain and Chris Brown, Best Love Song.
Oh.
And so good. And then the other song.
Even if that music video confuses me a little sometimes. Did you ever watch it?
Yeah, I
We're all sitting here, we're like, what? So she has a boyfriend or she doesn't have a boyfriend? Like, what's happening?
And the second one is I can never pronounce his name. I don't know if it's Hosier or
oh yeah.
Hosier.
Is it too sweet?
Yes.
Oh,
too sweet.
If I could get that is I repeat. It's on my spring/summer 2024 on Spotify, and I'm obsessed with it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh my gosh.
So those are the two I'm pretty obsessed with.
That's really good. So yeah, speaking of music and joy, you should. I was thinking about I was gonna do it, but I'm gonna like I feel like, um we should do another one of these because I
Yes.
feel like we should do another one, not epoxy, but you and I as music and getting Gina on here.
Oh my
And
God.
we should just share all the songs as millennials that bring us joy.
Oh my
Because
God. Can we please?
that would be hilarious. Just like here's an epoxy episode. If you were to listen to our Spotify, and by the way, any three of our Spotifys, if you listen to them, you'd be like, how did we jump from this to this?
I have one of the most confusing like playlists. It'll go from like Lil Wayne and like Young Money, and it'll jump to like Loretta Lynn,
The best.
and then it'll jump to Johnny Cash, and then it'll jump to like My Chemical Romance.
Oh man. Give me a little Helena any day of the week. There's something about that. I'm just like, oh
Although now that I'm saying it, that was probably my first indication that I had ADHD.
man. All the songs.
Maybe.
Neurodivergence Unite. That's another thing. We should do a thing on like
Yeah.
neurodivergence. I've been doing more like educational videos. Talk about things that bring me joy, like education. I feel like that's what we first aligned with is ethical education
Yes.
and freedom of thought. Like people just being themselves, I love that. So welcome to our brains. I went on a tangent. It's late at night, and that is a me thing. Welcome to sometimes the leader is the chaotic leader.
Yeah.
What advice, Adriana, would you give to people or others that are listening about joy?
My first advice would be to try not to recreate something that you've seen on social media.
No. Drop mic. Nobody needs to say anything else this whole season.
That's basically it. Don't try to recreate or compare anything from there. You need to just find joy in the small things, in the things that are immediately around you, and the things that are available to you.
That's very true. And so many people, especially talk about neurodivergent brains, sometimes the things we find joy with are like quirky or a little different than everybody else, or,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, just like own it. Again, if
Yeah.
it's not hurting yourself or others, like it's free game. Like
Of course.
if
Go
that
for it.
stuff is quirky, right? Like the one I was obsessed with in sync. You know what I mean? Like still to this day, if you put on in sync,
I learned the dance to Dirty Pop, and bye.
I'm just saying. We also have videos of dancing to Britney Spears, of me videotaping my sister to Lucky by Britney Spears. Like,
I forced our dog trainer to sit down in the middle of a session and watch me perform a dance from the Spice Girls. Then my mom had to come downstairs and say, "You can say no to her. You don't have to do this."
you're like, listen. See, but those are the things like, yeah, just moments like that. That is very true, though. Not listening to like what media, even when people try to fast sell or scam people in like joy and happiness, the reality is nobody is going to sell you any secret to
No.
joy or happiness. It's just what Adriana said today is it's peace and connectivity and presence and
I will
doing
say, I've also gotten here by doing a lot of work.
hell yeah.
I've been, in therapy. I've been doing a lot of inner self work, and that is also very hard. But I just want to put it out there that if you aren't feeling joy in a moment where you feel like I need to be happy about this, you don't have to be. It's fine.
Yep. Yep.
But if that is someplace you want to feel happy, you need to kind of look and say, what can I do to work on myself so I can get there, so I can feel this emotion around this event or around this thing that I want to feel. Not because you feel like you have to be happy about it, but because you genuinely want to be.
That's very true. That's a really healthy thing, I think, to like say to people, right? Is that if you're like, man, I used to feel joy or I want to, or why don't I? Like it takes like self observation to stop and say, I wanted that in the past. Do I still want it? And
Yeah.
if I still do, like, how do I get there? I feel like a lot of individuals chase
Yes.
with I want to feel the way I was when I was a kid. It's actually why I say I don't seek out my inner child. I seek out my inner teenager and my younger self
Yeah.
because I feel like, when you're trying to seek out something, I explain this to Tony. I said, it's like a drug. Like
Hmm.
when you feel that elatedness and joy and connectivity for the first time, like it never feels like the first time because it's the first time. But
Yeah.
then it's almost like people chase it.
And you can find that in anything. I remember I found that, and I don't know if you remember this. This was when we first met and you did my first reading with me.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was like all hyped up. And it like triggered me into doing like mediumships and like,
Yeah.
I want to see different mediums. And I'm like hitting them. And you were like, you don't have to do that.
Uh-huh.
And it like almost made me think, like, stop. You had very nicely was like, you're seeing all of these people, which is great, but are you getting anything new from it?
Mm-hmm.
But that, like, I was trying to get that feeling of like, oh my
Totally.
God, I connected with this. I feel good about it. And now I need to keep getting it.
That's, I think, a really important point we don't talk about in our field is the addictive nature that it
Mhm.
does have. Like when you
Yeah.
find something to believe in that's bigger than yourself, people just put their whole effort into it. And that's like beautiful. And I
Yeah.
think I did that too. I did that with crystals.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I had to sell off 3/4 of the ones I bought because it turned into like, man, these like make me feel so good. That was my spiritual
Hmm.
connection to the earth, right? And it's in
Yeah.
my house. But then I was like, when you don't have a place to put them anymore, then you're chasing something. You're chasing that initial. And when I still look at the picture of the first one I bought, I still feel that same feeling. I'm like, look, I can still be there by looking at the picture.
Yeah.
I don't need to
Exactly.
like chase it. But
Yeah.
people do in our I'm sure we see it too with people that are like, yeah, I want to do another reading. And I'm like, listen, most people, and I try to explain this, even my longest clients,
Yeah.
they come every 2 to 3 years. I said there are times where they come for 2 to 3 sessions if it's a high energy thing, very high energy. But ultimately, like, they
Yeah.
don't come often. Like if people are coming too often, I'm like, listen, either I'm not the right fit or you are trying to find something way beyond what I can help with,
Yeah.
like but you're bringing up, I think, a really good point. There's a lot of people, especially right now, that are like, yeah, they'll just go on any live and get any reading and yes or no
Hmm.
questions 60,000 times. I'm like, why are you going on 60 tarot readers lives and asking the same question? Do
Yeah.
you take like the best out of 30? Like, what do you do?
I've told some clients that even have come to me, um, a loved one that just recently passed away, and they're like, I need to, I need to get into a reading. And it's like, as much as I would love to, I don't think you're in a space right now. I said it can become very addicting. You reconnect with
That's so
someone that you
true.
thought you lost forever, and then the next thing you know, you're willing to drop hundreds of dollars,
Thousands.
you
People
know,
drop so much money.
just to feel that connection again. So that's where
Where
you, as a,
grief should be, which
mhm,
you and Tony are so good at telling people, like, this is a grieving time. Like
yeah,
you can't replace your human experience with a spiritual one,
no.
you know?
And I only say this because I experienced that. I
Right.
experienced that, like, oh my God, you connected to this person, and it made me feel like they were here still. I want to keep that going.
That's so true.
But
Eh,
again,
When you have to face they're gone,
hmm,
like you have to face first somebody is not here.
yeah. So I try to tell them, wait at least 6 months.
That's what
Wait.
Tony does too. Tony learned that from you. Like he
Oh,
tells
really?
people, yeah, he does. He tells people no, or he gives them a boundary, like check back in 6 months and let's do a consult again. But I'm not
Hmm.
gonna just do it. That's what I mean by like ethical healing industry stuff. We're not monitored by anybody. So when people are seeking out joy, I know we're talking about joy and epoxies, but they're trying to find those in betweens again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I do a consult and I require them, one, because it's not for money, but two, the mindful ethical stuff of what are you hoping to gain from this, and what did media tell you about this? That's
Yeah.
going back to your thing too, is not seeking out what media is telling you, or what, or copying or comparing. What's the one line, like comparing is like the stealer of joy or something? Isn't there
Yeah.
something like that?
Comparison is the stealer of joy. And I was just going to say that
That's
you
it.
can, especially after having my second child, I had and I still have, and I deal with postpartum depression and
Mhm.
anxiety. And I had to, it was the first time I ever had to do this. It was a friend on Facebook, and she just had her second, and it was like, and this is not dogging her in any way,
No, I don't
but
think
I
you are.
noticed like I was able to clean the whole house, do all this laundry, do this, do that, while the little one slept, and then I got dinner ready, and I was just like sitting here starting to feel bad about myself
Yeah.
because I was comparing everything that I had done compared to what she had done. And I had to not unfollow her, but I like muted her for a while because again, I'm seeing all of these what seems like perfect moms with these perfect houses and perfect children, and that's not reality.
No,
It's not. And then I realized, well, social media is only a snapshot. It's a highlight.
it is.
And
They
someone
get,
just
you
said
get to
that to
show
me.
what you want people to see.
So instead of comparing what I'm seeing, and then that negative self-talk starts, you have to literally just like put it down and walk away.
You
And by
do.
doing that, that's when you'll start to see in your own two eyes, not on a screen, the little joys that are everyday joys that pop up.
That's very true. And that's the, yeah, like, when you said like comparison, or the, yeah, thief or stealer of joy, it really is one of the, oddly enough, again, we have a weird vibe
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. Weird shit happens. There's the one I just did was about high horses and moral compass. Is what's gonna drop just before your episode. Now we're recording this, oddly enough. But there's one of the things that I talked about, was kind of, getting caught up in jealousy is an emotion, or sadness, or things, but things like comparison, or even when people are possessive, right?
Yeah.
Like they get possessive versus, I think we need to normalize that, like being jealous of people, or, and that's my emotion. I'm using
Oh
that one,
yeah.
not trying to reflect yours, but being like, man, I wish I was there, or longing, right? Like,
I
it's
like
one
that.
thing to like have an emotion
Mm-hmm.
about something, but it is in our power to take steps to be like, if I'm moving that to a state of being like possessiveness, or ain't, like,
Yeah.
moving it to something bigger, or being miserable, right? It's one thing to be sad, but to be miserable is a choice. When it
Exactly.
starts migrating, one of my favorite lines I say is, allow your emotions to come hang out for dinner, but don't let them stay the weekend. When they start staying the weekend and I have set that boundary, I don't want them to stay.
Reevaluate.
That's the choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's the choice. That's our theme again, is you guys have so much in your power with this. And Adriana just reminded us again, like a different thing about peace and connectivity. All of those are like choices.
Yeah.
We put joy in this strange pedestal that feels so out of reach, but
It's not.
to be grateful and slow down is so powerful.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. So I know that people after, watching this will be like, how do I get a hold of Adriana? I'm not even going to post it here, but I'm going to let Adriana share with you, like, if you want a reading, how to get a hold of her.
Oh, thank you. Yep. If you want a reading, you can go to my Instagram, which is my underscore souls underscore journey 11. And then my email, mysoulsjourney11 at gmail.com. I am going to put a PSA out there. Not only do I have ADHD, I have two very active children.
Yes.
So if you don't hear from me within a certain amount of time, whatever you feel comfortable with, just message me again. Because 90% of the times I looked at it, was like, I'm going to respond, put my phone down, and then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh no.
It happens.
Super
It happens
bad.
though. It
But
does. It's
yeah,
hard though. I like that though. Just message again, right?
just
Like there are
message
some
again.
people like if it goes, it might go to junk too. We don't know. Like so, reach out again.
I don't get technology sometimes. Yeah, just message again. And yeah, I'm totally open for readings. I don't, it's funny, I don't spend as much time now as I used to when I first started on
Yeah.
advertising and putting myself out there because I just realized I'm like, this is something I love to do and it's starting to feel like work.
Oh
And when
yeah.
it feels like work, something in me, it's my ADHD brain that's like, you're no longer getting serotonin from this. We're done.
Fact.
And there
Yeah,
have
it's
been
gonna
times
come
where
and
I've gone
go.
months. Yeah, I can go months, but I love it. I love doing it. So feel free to message me.
And she's just really good. Like I share this. There's only two people I go to. It's her and Tony. Like there's and it's nothing against all my other friends that are tarot readers. The reality is they're intuitive, they're connected, they're honest, and they're ethical. I feel like they don't say things that people want to hear. They're very honest. And I think Adriana specifically, like, also is open to like, sometimes business or things like that. And I has experience running a business too. So sometimes those questions are helpful. I'll be like, yeah, pull one for my, what's the next step with, you
There are
know.
only a couple things that I don't do readings on. One of them is pregnancy.
Yep. Fair, me
That's
too.
hard. I will sometimes get, messages being like, if it, I do feel a little one, or, but I
Mm,
will never come out and be like, go get a
it's gonna
test.
happen. Oh
It's going
yeah.
to happen. Or any medical. I
Yep.
don't give medical advice. I can say, you know, if you're feeling the need to, call your doctor. Ask him to order some tests. Or
Yeah.
if it's like career advice, I'll be like, listen, don't go to your job and quit and say
Yeah.
because the lady who talked to my dead grandma told me
Yep.
that I'm not happy here anymore. Don't do that.
That's very true.
That is
You'll
a
probably get fired if you say that, by the way. Like
get
people will be like,
fired
and it's time to go.
5150 being like, I'm pretty sure this
Yeah,
person is having a breakdown.
right.
Okay,
That's
don't do
true
that.
though.
Don't do, or like, don't break up with your significant other because I'm saying, or the cards are saying, or Uncle Joe from the 1920s is saying. I am here to give advice, to validate feelings, or kind of, put you on the right path, rotate you, give you a little nudge. But the ultimate decider for your life and your fate and your destiny is you. It's you.
That's very true.
So if I say, listen, what I'm feeling is you might not be that happy where you're at now. It wouldn't hurt to do some research into other pathways. You don't
Mhm.
have to do that.
No.
You don't have to do that.
Absolutely. That's like you said, like things you align with and things you don't.
Yeah.
That's
So,
extremely, extremely normal. That's the hard thing, even when people talk about social psychology. And I'm like, we don't say prove, we say show
yeah.
because there's always biases or DI related things or reporter bias. Like there are just things that impact the human experience and it doesn't fit into a box. Yet we
Mm-mm.
spend so much time fitting ourselves into this box. And that's what's I think you're saying too with the spirituality stuff. And I know I say with mine is again, yeah, take what serves you, what you really connected to or you felt you were supposed to hear. There might be 90% that you didn't, but take the
Yeah.
10% that did.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it's a, failed good or bad reading. That's that
Yeah.
whole thing about obsessing about extremes, you know? Just take what serves you and what you can
Exactly.
learn from.
And like I always say, my readings are no way, shape, or form to be used as a replacement
Absolutely.
in anything. In
No,
anything. Whether it be
it's,
medical, whether it be personal stuff, you
it's
know.
so true.
It,
Or your own voice, which is what
yeah,
we're
you're
like, yeah.
exactly. It can be a fine line because again, you get a good reading from somebody and you feel that joy, you feel that happiness, and then it's like, I want to feel that again.
That's very true. I
So
know.
when you
All of
come across a
yeah.
reader that has the cojones to say no to you, take that as a green flag and not as a red one.
Hell yeah. There are some people that will come to like the group readings and like, "Meryl, that was like a rough one." And I said, "It was an honest one."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Don't attach anything to it. Take what serves you and leave it behind." You
Exactly.
know, that is very, very true. Because I know all of you are super interested. Make sure, again, the socials are right there. No, they're over by you on Adriana's side. Point to Adriana, point down. It's like a redirect. Um, Thanks, Adriana, for being on
Anytime.
here, not only, and then just like being a friend and a wonderful, like I say, colleague in the healing industry, just somebody I
Mm.
deeply, truly, like deeply, deeply trust in this work.
Thank you.
Um,
Same. I,
Thank you.
I'm so grateful that our paths crossed
Me,
one
Jen,
random day in 2020.
one random day, like here
Yeah.
we are,
Yeah.
right? And I'm glad it did. So it's, and anybody that, isn't following me on every single platform, anywhere you can find me on, the
Do it.
exception is following me on those platforms. The only exceptions are I do have a small Instagram, not with many followers because I don't like promote it much, but Skull Meatloaf Podcast does have its own, and it is Skull Meatloaf Podcast on Twitch. So we do, just a friendly reminder, Adriana comes and hangs out with us too, however you say that with proper English.
Same thing.
Yeah, whatever. Um, Sundays, 8 p.m. Central. Every single Sunday, we do a live Skull Meatloaf podcast, not only to talk about things that inspire me from here and giving credit there and saying this really inspired me in this interview this week, or expanding on the 5 minute meatloafs. It gives you a chance to like live interact with other people self evolving for the greater good right alongside you.
It's
So,
great. It's great. It's enlightening, and it's light.
yeah,
It's not heavy. Even though some heavy topics can be spoken about, it's
right.
still very light.
That's that is true though. I
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. I feel
Yeah,
like it does have that energy to it.
exactly.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Adriana,
you.
for coming to hang out with us today.
Anytime.
And one of my, favorite lines still to this day is just like I say, keep walking. There's everybody running and rushing. Whether it's this in my book, anything that I do, the reality is sometimes evolution does take choice and effort, but sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
just fucking existing and
Yep.
learning from lived experience. So,
Absolutely.
just learn to walk and evolve and heal on, my friends. And
Oh,
until next
I
time
love
on
it.
the Epoxy episodes with Adriana, we will see you very soon.
Thank you so much again.
You're welcome. Bye.